everybody, Mrs. K here with another art video. So this week we are going to work on line, and we're going to put a bunch of lines inside one of our hands. So I just took my hand, well, the other one, and I put it on the paper and traced it, and I outlined it with a marker just so it's a lot easier for you to see. So in each of my fingers and my thumb and this part of my hand and my wrist, they're all going to be different patterns that we make with lines. I'm going to just draw mine with a pencil. If you want to add a pen or a marker or a crayon for yours, then you're totally welcome to, but I'm just going to use a regular pencil. So the first thing I'm going to do is divide up my hand in different parts. So I'm going to cross off like the bottom of each of my fingers and my thumb and where my hand meets my wrist. So now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different line patterns that I'm going to do. Let's start with the pinky. I'm going to do straight lines. Straight lines can be a number of different things. They can be vertical lines that go up and down, horizontal lines that go side to side, diagonal lines that go at an angle. They can be a bunch of different things. For this one, I think I'm just going to do horizontal lines. So I'm going to leave space, about the same amount of space between each one. I'm going to go from one side all the way to the other. I'm taking my time. I'm not rushing. Here. So now I just have horizontal lines. So now let's make this a pattern. We can change it by making, instead of really thin pencil lines, we can make them thicker by coloring in every other one. I'm not coloring it in sloppy either. I'm making sure that all my pencil marks touch each other. And it's all like the same color of pencil. It's all the same darkness. So now I have thick black and white stripes. All right, let's go to another finger. Let's do wavy lines this time. So wavy curved lines are kind of bumpy and they don't have any sharp points on them. I think instead of making them go horizontal like this, I think I'm going to make them go up and down vertically. So I'm going to kind of come in and make a bunch of bumps or waves. It's wavy curve line, and then I'm going to match it again on this side. Awesome. So now I have a wavy curve line. Now let's make this a little bit more interesting. Instead of coloring in to make one of them darker, we could do that. Let's add some dots. So wherever there's a bump, I'm using my pencil and I'm going to make dots that are about the same size. And then I'm going to do it on the other side too. I think that's all I'm going to do for now. I might come back in and color in the middle a little bit later, but right now I'm not sure. So I think I just want to leave the lines very thin. Let's do the next one. Let's do zigzag lines. So for zigzags, I think I'm going to do them at a diagonal. So I'm going to do them at an angle. Sometimes it helps to turn your paper at an angle if you have a hard time with it. So you can already see the zigzags. Zigzags, remember, are sharp and pointy, kind of like mountains. And mine are at a diagonal. Or at least they were. I think they're starting to go vertical. Okay, so now I have my zigzags. I think similar to this one, I'm going to color in every other one. Awesome. So now I have thick zigzag lines as well, and they're kind of at an angle. So on this one here, what kind of lines do I want to do? Maybe I want to add spirals. So with spirals, remember, they start out really small, and then they grow and get bigger and bigger and bigger. Kind of like snail shells. I think I'm going to fill a bunch of different sizes of spirals in this finger just to make it a little bit more interesting. So some really small ones, some big ones. So the sides of a spiral never touch each other. Awesome. So now I have 2 thick patterns and 2 thin lined patterns. Okay, let's go to our thumb. I think with my thumb, I think I'm going to do perpendicular lines. So perpendicular lines, remember, are lines that cross. Parallel lines never touch. This is an example of parallel lines. They would go on and on forever in either direction, and they would never touch each other. This one's going to be perpendicular lines. These ones are definitely going to touch. I'm going to start out by making the vertical ones. And then I'm going to slash through on the side horizontally. So now I have some perpendicular lines. Oops, like that. Okay, I'm going to do something similar, I think, with the palm of my hand. Actually, with my wrist instead. I'm going to skip the palm of my hand for now and jump to my wrist because it's kind of the same. So I'm going to do perpendicular lines. So I'm going to do some horizontal ones. And it's about the same width. It's like the width of my finger between each line, or the width of a pencil. Okay, and now I'm going to add some vertical lines. Okay, so it's the same kind of pattern that's here, except this one, I'm going to make a checkerboard. So with a checkerboard, we're going to color all the boxes that touch corners. So that's a little bit tricky. You'll see what I mean. So I'm going to start over here and I'm going to color one box. Okay, so the sides have to stay white. Only allowed to touch corners. Okay, only allowed to touch corners. So then I can color this one. Checkerboard pattern is one of my favorites, but it does take a little bit of time. Okay, only allowed to touch corners. Okay, so this is not just a checkerboard, right? Like we have to color in some of the rest of them. But remember, I'm only allowed to touch corners. And I'm only allowed to touch corners. So this is how we're going to fill in the rest of our boxes. corner, 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 corner. Almost done. Corner and corner. Awesome. So that's a checkerboard pattern. Like I said, it takes a little bit of time, but it ends up looking really cool when you're done and adds a lot of detail. Okay, so now we just have the inside of my hand to do. I think we should combine a couple of these different patterns in order to make that. I'm going to start by making just vertical lines. And I'm going to start in the middle of my hand just because I want it to be even. Oh, maybe I should have made diagonal lines. Diagonal lines is like the one we didn't do yet. Yeah, I'm going to switch. So instead of vertical, I'm going to erase. I'm going to do diagonals instead. Okay, diagonal is going to go, I'm just going to slash to the middle. Push, like that. Okay, and I'll leave about a pencil's width and make lines all the way the rest of my palm up to my fingers. And that's probably good. And then on the other side line down past my thumb. Okay, so now I'm not just going to only do diagonal lines, and I'm not just going to color in every other one. I'm going to make it look a little bit more interesting. So I think every other one, I'm going to do tiny little lines. These ones are more like the other way for diagonal, or almost like vertical. So I'm going to do little thin spaces. I'm going from one line to the other, like that. And I'm going to do this on every other one. I'm going to make them close together because we have some really thick patterns. So these ones are going to be thin. Nice little opposite. One more, it looks like. For me, anyway. You might have another one, depending on how many lines you have. Awesome job. And I'm going to stop there. So to review, we have straight lines that are also thick, straight lines that are thin, curvy wave lines, zigzag lines, spirals, perpendicular lines, parallel lines, and a checkerboard pattern. All right, guys, I hope you have fun.